Zoom. Okay, perfect. So let's make sure everybody's on Zoom because I'm hearing
this box right here where it says value, e-value.
Let me hear. Let's just make sure that that is muted.
And then you click on it, yeah, and then you right.
There we go. Okay, you're muted now. Okay, sorry about that, guys. So let's dive in. Let's dive in. The 3 steps to balance your hormones and lose weight naturally without doctors or diets. Now, the doctors part is something that I want to focus on. This is really important because of the fact that I have gone through my own slew of issues. When it came to some of the things that I went through doctor-wise, that was the whole reason why I ended up in the space that I am right now. Literally the entire reason that I decided to shift, because a little quick backstory about me, I was actually supposed to become a vet. But then what happened is even going through some veterinary doctors when it came to the racehorses that I have, because I don't know if you know this about me, but I actually used to barrel race. I used to be an international level barrel racer. So I did this nonstop full time for 15 years. And my horses, of course, ended up getting injured here and there. And I still remember there was one time where there was a vet that was literally going to tell me that I was going to have to retire my racehorse because she had gotten hurt. It was the equivalent of a dislocated knee. And what the vets wanted to do was operate on my horse's knee and then tell me that essentially she would be a lawn ornament and I'd never be able to race her again when she was only about 6 years old. Absolutely absurd. What did we do? I ended up finding someone else who did a lot more alternative therapies, right? Someone who was actually going to help when it came to the healing process. They did a couple of adjustments. I did about a year's worth of rehab with her. And the next year she was racing again. And this was the first time that I was exposed to alternative therapies, alternative ways of healing the body, even though it was a racehorse's body. I'll get to the part where it was my own, but healing the body from within using things like nutrition and alternative therapies. Now, this was the biggest thing that sparked my interest in now starting to coach humans, because I was actually pushed by a lot of people. They told me because of my grades, because of my high understanding of the human body and how it worked, they were all telling me I should apply to med school. You should apply to med school, go to med school, you should be a doctor, all this stuff. And you know what? I am so freaking happy that I never ended up doing that, because I absolutely hate the medical system for certain aspects. Now, don't get me wrong. If I have a broken leg or if I get into an accident and, you know, my heart stops, like, don't get me a nutritionist, get me a freaking ER doctor. So let's just be super clear on that, right? For acute care, doctors are amazing, necessary, and absolutely awesome. But when it comes to everything else, which we're going to dive into, right? We're going to dive into things like, struggling when it comes to balancing your hormones, having extremely bad period pains, really struggling when it comes to also things like having hypothyroidism, feeling really sluggish, knowing there is something wrong in your body. But every time you go to the doctors, they either tell you, oh, you're fine, or they do like they did with one of my friends and tell them, oh, you should just eat more variety in your diet. You're cutting too many things out of your diet. You should eat more variety. Stop doing what you were doing. But I'm not going to give you any actual actionable steps to be able to figure out how you can actually heal your body, because doctors are clueless about nutrition. Now, this might piss a lot of people off, but this is just the truth. These are just straight facts. And this is only facts because of the fact that I have not only experienced it, but I've been in the health and wellness industry for over 10 to 15 years now. And I have seen it time and time again with so many women that come to me struggling, having tried to go to so many different doctors, having doctors tell them they're fine, or all they need is surgery, or all they needed this, or just give them more medication, slap another Band-Aid on it, only for that same issue to come back up 10 times worse after the fact that they even tried, right? You try. You're not stupid. I wasn't stupid. I knew there was something else that was wrong with me. I knew I needed help. I knew I needed to do something different. But for some reason, it didn't matter what doctor I went to, they just kept trying to give me a bunch of medications. So what happened was, and I'll be really real and raw with you guys, you can see how my skin was before. And this was one of the really big driving factors for me. Every single person has their thing, that thing that they're insecure about. Well, for me, it was always my skin. It usually was never this bad. This was actually something that happened when I had gone through a slew of doctor's appointments, when I had tried to figure something out with my hormones, knowing there was something wrong, and none of them did anything for me until the point where my skin got to this point. They still didn't even talk to me about nutrition. They didn't talk to me about shifting my diet. They didn't talk to me about any of that stuff. All they did was give me Accutane and tell me that I was going to be fine. Well, guess what? Yeah, the Accutane cleared it up a little bit, but it just kept on wanting to come back after, because I had never gotten to the root cause of the problem. And this is where, when it comes to actually taking your power back into your own hands and saying, you know what, I am not going to give my power away to this person wearing a white coat. Because that paper they have in their hand is not a death sentence. It is not the sentence that is going to write out the story of the rest of your life. And I know that sometimes it can feel that way, because it certainly felt that way for me. You know, when I was in the doctor's office getting vials, I remember getting 9 vials of blood taken from me so they could run a whole bunch of tests, only to have them come back either telling me, one, that I had a non-cancerous brain tumor. I had one doctor tell me I had a non-cancerous brain tumor, potentially. And then I had other doctors telling me I had absolutely nothing wrong with me and to go home and that I was fine. That's a pretty big gap, right? So I ended up having to wait 3 months for an MRI, not knowing whether or not I had a freaking brain tumor and whether or not I was going to have brain surgery. At 25 years old, that was a heck of a lot to take on. And that's the whole reason why I'm so passionate about talking to women about this right now, because once I had the MRI and they pumped me full of that fluid that they inject into your veins, and then it went all over my body and it was absolutely awful. I was claustrophobic, trying to break out of this thing. And then I got to a point where they sat me down in the office and they were like, you don't have a non-cancerous brain tumor. You don't have a brain tumor. It's like, oh, great. Thanks for making me stress about that for the past 90 days. But what they did say is they tried to diagnose me with things like PCOS. They tried to tell me I wasn't going to be able to have kids when I grew up, or, you know, when I was older, when I grew up. I'm still like a big kid, right? They tried to tell me that I was probably going to have trouble having kids when I was older. So I was going to have to go through IVF and all these things. And they started throwing all of these medications at me. And I still remember sitting in that chair being like, what the heck is happening right now? And all I knew is I had this gut feeling telling me that this wasn't right. This was not the only answer, that what they were telling me was not the only way for me to be able to live my life. Because what they were essentially telling me is that my days as a healthy human were over, is that I was going to have to depend on medication that was going to cause a whole bunch of side effects for the rest of my life. And that is not the way that I planned to live my life. That's not what I desired. That's not how I saw myself. And I know that's not how you see yourself either. So that's when I decided to dive really deep into holistic nutrition. I got certified in extra courses when it comes to now being a certified health coach in integrative nutrition. I also have a bachelor's degree in physical and health education, and have done a whole bunch of deep diving, even deeper from that certification, into non-mainstream things like Ayurvedic medicine, like the mind-body connection, like using consciousness and energy to help heal your body from within. These are all things that are proven principles that people have been using since the ancient days, but that people have said it's woo-woo and it's not real science. Well, guess what? It's absolutely amazing, because now they're actually starting to come out with scientific research that is to prove all of these different facts, which I'm going to share with you in a little bit. So now I've gotten to a point now where this picture in the middle that you see from me, that was taken a couple months ago. And that is what I look like all the time, right? I don't have to worry about going to the gym all the time to try to lose weight. I don't have to go to the doctors anytime that there's any little, you know, sometimes my skin will break out a little bit, but my skin is nice and clear now, right? It stays like this most of the time. 100%, I get the odd breakout. 100%. Sometimes I feel a little bit off one day. But the amazing part is that I am no longer running to the doctors to try to have them fix me and giving my power away to someone in a white coat. When something happens with my body, because you have to accept the fact that there is going to be ebb and flows in your life. Your body is not going to stay the same. You have to release the fact that you think that, oh, one day I'm going to wake up and my body is going to stay exactly the same every single day. That's not true. You can wake up and feel sexy and feel amazing and feel awesome in your body and have energy and all these things. Of course, you can have that every single day, 100%. But there's still going to be some ups and downs. Sometimes maybe you're going to feel like, oh, my stomach's a little off, or, oh, I'm breaking out a little bit, or, oh, I have this, or, oh, I have that. But it's a small thing because you've done the inner work to get your body to a point where it is self-healing every single day. And where if this small thing pops up, you can fix it right away because you have gotten the education yourself to no longer have to run to your doctors anytime any little thing happens with your body. Now, if this sounds exciting, this sounds like something that you desire, right? If you desire to no longer have to go to your doctors whenever there's something that's going on with your body, and you actually desire to take your power back and know that you are not someone who is a victim of your genetics, you're also not a victim of what is happening to you. I want you to start to be the victor of your body, understanding that you are in control of your body. You're in control of the cravings you might have. You're in control of the fact that maybe you've gained some weight since your hormones went all wonky. Doctors aren't telling you how to fix it, but nutritionally, there's a lot of ways we can help you with that, which I do over and over again with so many different women. So now I'm at the point where I can essentially eat amazing food. I can eat a variety of food that I love. I know what works for my body. And I'm also at a point where I don't have to worry about all of the ridiculous period pains I used to have, like being on the pill. I'm no longer on the pill. I was able to step away from that. Now I have a cycle that is on the same day every single month that happens naturally. My hormones are no longer wonky. I don't feel like I'm two totally different people throughout the month. Right? I feel great. My bloating is gone. I don't have to worry about these crazy breakouts anymore. I actually feel like myself. And I have to tell you, this is the most empowering feeling to ever have. And I want to give a big disclaimer before we dive in, is that I am not a doctor. I'm not a doctor. And I never want to even act like I am because I don't want to be a doctor. So any information that you get from this, I want you to get this from the space of having an open mind. I want you to get this information. I want you to take this information, understand, yeah, it's coming from someone who is certified in nutrition, 100%. I do have that if you like pieces of paper to prove that somebody knows something. But the biggest thing is that I've literally been exactly where you are, and I've found a way to make it on the other side without having to worry about doctors, fad diets, keto, intermittent fasting, constantly trying to Google my way to figuring out what the heck is wrong with me and constantly being stressed about that. That's the biggest thing. I've gone to a point where I'm free from all of that. I'm free from crazy fad diets. I'm free from doctors, and I'm free in my body. I love my body. I feel amazing in my skin. So this is something you want. Comment below, amazing. And let's dive in. And this is just to show you, once again, that these are real women that we have helped and with real results, right? And this is not all about losing weight. I want you to understand that. We don't just help women lose weight and balance their hormones. We literally help women change their lives. Like, this goes so much further than just losing 20 to 30 pounds or even 80 pounds or whatever it might be. This goes so much further than even things like eliminating your cravings and having a huge reduction in bloating your first week. 100%. That's what most of our clients have, right? You can see it right here. Huge reduction for other unhealthy snacks. And those kinds of cravings have drastically reduced, right? And this was only 4 weeks apart, right? This woman, which was absolutely amazing. You can see the bloating is gone. Her stomach is tightening. And also with this woman, right? She's down 18 pounds in 12 weeks, and she's really, really excited about it, which is awesome. So these are things that work, right? This is the kind of information that actually will change your life if you allow it to. If you have an open mind enough to say that you are going to stick with it no matter what until the end, and you are going to also allow yourself to educate yourself. Be educated, because an educated woman can make stronger, more powerful decisions. When you're educated, you can actually say, no, thank you, that doesn't work for my body, or yes, please, I'm going to have some more of this. The whole process is not just about slapping you with some generic meal plan and workout program and saying, this is going to help you lose weight, this is going to help you balance your hormones. That's not how it works, right? If that's something that you want, I'm not going to be the right coach for you, and you can feel free to hop off this masterclass. But if you're wanting something that's deeper, if you're actually wanting to go to the root cause of what's causing you to feel so frustrated, so unhappy, running to your doctor every 2 seconds, and you're actually wanting to educate yourself and have the knowledge to make your own freaking decisions and stop giving your power away to even nutritionists or doctors or whoever the heck else, then this is definitely the place for you to be. And that's the most powerful place to be at when you are a woman. So what we're going to dive into today are 3 things. We're going to dive into how to balance your hormones using food. We're also going to use to weight loss that sticks. We're going to talk about weight loss that sticks. Now, I'm really particular on that last part, those last 2 words saying that sticks, because this is honestly the biggest thing that is lacking in so many programs. Every single woman that comes to me, they're always like, Stephanie, I have had some results on another program, but guess what? I've gained it all back. right? I have, lost 6 pounds on Jenny Craig within the first couple of weeks, but I gained it all back. I did try intermittent fasting and, it kind of worked for me, but then I was starving. So I had to wait till 12 every single day until I ate. Or I tried keto and maybe I lost even 10, 20 pounds. But then as soon as Christmas came around and I had one bite of my grandma's cookies, it all went out the window. I ended up ballooning out like, literally a balloon and gained it all back, right? This is something you have struggled with. Comment yes below if you can relate to anything that I'm talking about right now, right? That's why weight loss that sticks is so important. And we're going to dive into how to actually maintain the results that you get versus just opting in to try to get results that are a quick fix. No, that is never what's going to be maintainable. So we're going to dive into that too. And then lastly, we're going to also talk about epigenetics, something that is so powerful and something that really gives the power back into your hands so that you can understand, hey, I'm actually not stuck with the genes that I have. Yes, they're in my body. Yes, you can't change your DNA, but you can choose which genes turn on and off so that you can decide and you actually have choice within your body of saying, hey, I choose to have this gene turn on because I'm going to use the right nutrition and also the right environment to make that happen. So these are just really important things for you to understand. And they're so exciting. Like if this is exciting to you, because I don't know about you, but this is so exciting to me because it's so liberating. So liberating. Yeah, if we can make sure we're all on mute, that would be great. So liberating to understand that I was not stuck with my genes. So awesome. So let's dive in. And before we dive in, I always like to make sure that we take a quiz, right? Because I like you to be aware. You can't change something if you're not aware of it. So these are going to be really quick questions that I want you to just jot down and I want you to see where you're at when it comes to your health. So first of all is how long do you go between meals? For any of you who are my intermittent fasters or people who forget to eat, this is for you. So how long do you go between meals, right? I want you to just mentally take a note of that. Number 2 is how long before you have a natural bowel movement in the morning? If it's longer than 20 minutes, take a mental note of that. Where do you hold most of your weight? This is really important. This is the one that I want to focus on. So you can actually figure out, once again, through your own education, your own knowledge, and your own abilities as a woman to say, hey, I actually understand now that because I hold weight in a certain area of my body, I understand what hormones I should focus on. So for instance, what I want you to do is I want you to jot down where you hold most of your weight. There's 3 different areas. The one is going to be on your stomach. Is that where most of your weight goes, is on your belly. And if you're watching this live on Facebook, comment below which one it is. So number 1 is belly. Number 2 is on your hips and thighs. Okay. And number 3 is if you find you just hold it overall, or if you find you get odd like back fat in those areas. Okay. So those are the 3 areas. So I want you to write down which one that you had. You can write down 1, 2, or 3 in the chat box right now if you're watching this live. Okay. So what I want to do right now is I want to unpack and debunk which one of those areas is going to be associated with which one of your hormone centers, right? But before we do that, we're just going to finish up with this quiz. And I want to ask you, do you have sugar or salt cravings, right? This is really important too, to be able to understand which hormones need to be balanced. So do you have sugar and salt cravings? Yes or no? Do you gain weight easily? That's another one. And do you have PMS, headaches, or feel sluggish? Okay. So if you have answered yes to any of these questions, then this is definitely your body essentially telling you, hey, something needs to shift. Something needs to change. You need to start changing your diet. You need to start changing something, right? So take a mental note of that. Now, what I want to do is I want to go back to the question that we talked about when it came to where you hold most of your body weight. Now, if you hold most of your body weight on your stomach, if that was your answer, was number 1, was your stomach, then I want you to understand that it's actually your adrenal glands, which actually sit right on top of your kidneys. It's actually your adrenal glands that are most likely going to need the most TLC. These also have to do with, in part, your salt and sugar cravings, right? We call this cortisol belly when it comes to gaining a lot of your weight here. This can have to do with maybe you've been really stressed out for the past little while and your cortisol levels, which is your stress hormone, have been so high that your body is essentially in a state of fight or flight all the time. Now, when this happens, your body naturally wants to gain most of its weight on its stomach, and it won't want to get rid of it. This is why being able to also unpack the stress side of your life, the emotional side of your life, is really important for you to actually be able to lose weight and keep it off and balance your hormones in the process, so you can finally feel like yourself again and feel good in your skin. So that's one part of it. Number two is your thyroid, right? So if you were someone that said you gain most of your weight in all the areas, right? You find you hold it evenly and you even have back fat, then your thyroid may be the culprit when it comes to having this kind of profile with your body. So your thyroid is associated also with things like if your hair and your nails are really brittle. This is another big indication that your thyroid needs some help. Now, your thyroid sits essentially right under your chin, and this is essentially what regulates your metabolism. So if your thyroid is off, then you're going to be the kind of person that eats a cube of cheese and you feel like you gained a pound, right? That's you. Comment me below. Now, lastly is your ovaries. So your ovaries, and you are going to be the person where if you said that you gain weight on your hips and thighs, this most likely has to do with the fact that you have estrogen dominance. Now, this is more normal in women. Obviously, you know that women are more, of the pear shape versus men, because of the fact we have higher estrogen. But if your estrogen is also increased on top of the natural estrogen you're supposed to have, this is when you can have those cottage cheese kind of thighs. You can have, the hips that just won't go away. And these are when you're starting to run into some of the issues that you might have when it comes to losing weight or feeling sexy in your body, and have to do with estrogen dominance. This also has to do with things like PMS, PCOS, when it comes to also anything that has to do with any pain or that has to do with your period, with your ovaries, with your uterus. A lot of it has to do with estrogen dominance. And this is a really big issue that's going on in the world today that we're going to dive into in a second. Now, when it comes to estrogen dominance, this is the reason this is an issue, is because there are so many things like microplastics, heavy metals from pesticides that are being sprayed on foods, and all of the different pollutants that are in the world, that a lot of people have been shown to be eating close to a credit card's worth of plastic every single week, which is absolutely disgusting. That's what you're consuming because of all of the things like drinking out of a plastic bottle. My bottle is glass. Drinking out of a plastic bottle, warming up your food in plastic containers, doing all of the things that normal people do. It's absolutely absurd how much these xenoestrogens, we call them xenoestrogens because they're estrogen mimicking compounds. They're fake estrogens. It's things that are going into your body that are mimicking what natural estrogen should do. So then it's telling your body that, hey, we have this massive estrogen overload. And that's when you're starting to get a lot of the not so nice symptoms, things like PMS, pain during your period, a lot of bloating and water retention during your period. Also, when it comes to things like the higher level things like PCOS, endometriosis, all of those really higher level issues that can go all the way into ovarian cancer, right? This is not just surface level stuff. This is not just, oh, I have a painful period or I miss a period here and there. This actually has to do with your health as a woman. And also has to do with fertility, right? So if you're in that time of your life where you're wanting to have kids, this is really important for you. So I really want to be able to preface this so that you can understand the magnitude of the information that we're going to share with you, and that this actually legitimately works. When you follow these protocols, when you do this step-by-step system, you will start to feel better, right? Your relationship with food will totally change. You'll be able to start making choices from a place of love for yourself and understanding for your body, right? I actually have a client who talks about the fact that finally, now that she's been working with me for, I think it's been about it started at about 3 months, but now we've been working together for about 6 months. And she was talking about how it's literally like her body speaks to her every day. And she's actually able to understand what her body needs because she's finally been able to tune into that feminine intuition that she has because of the work that we've done, so that she can actually understand, hey, my body needs this today, or hey, my body doesn't need that, and actually understand what foods work for her and what foods don't. This holds so much power. So let's dive into balancing hormones, because at this point you're like, okay, tell me how to balance my hormones. I want to actually know, I want to understand what are some actionable things that I can do. So when it comes to balancing your hormones, it's really important that you understand that balancing your blood sugar is one of the most key and important things. Now, this is going to also unpack why intermittent fasting doesn't work. And it was actually great because I had an old client of mine from a really, really long time ago when I wasn't talking much about, all of this stuff with intermittent fasting and keto, and I wasn't diving deep into hormones. Literally back then, I was all about just workouts and losing weight and following a meal plan. And that was it, right? So I've evolved a lot since then into this higher level program where literally anyone that follows this and anyone that actually comes on board with us, you could literally walk away with a certification. That's how deep we go. Like you could walk away with a certification in women's nutrition because I don't believe in just giving you the what. I believe in giving you the why. And the why is the most important and empowering thing that's going to allow you to finally make the right decisions for your body moving forward. Like there's a lot of coaches out there that like to say and like to brag and like to say, oh, we have clients that stick with us for life. That's a bad thing. And if you are a health coach, or if you know a coach or someone that's into nutrition or anyone that has to do with healing the body, if you know anyone like that and they are trying to advertise to you saying that they want to keep you as a client for life, run the heck away. Because there should never be anyone in the health field that keeps you as a lifelong client. This means that they don't know what the heck they're talking about. Right? And I'll be the first coach and the first person to tell you that I don't want you to be my client forever. I love you and I love to work with you and I love my clients and I consider them family and sisters, but we don't work together forever for the rest of their lives, because if I did that, that would mean that I wasn't actually giving them answers to be able to make their own decisions and maintain the results long term. And that's what I want to do. I don't want you to have to be dependent on anyone but yourself. And of course, you have to go through an educational process before that, but that's the main piece that I want you to understand and I want you to get from this, right? You have way more answers than you think. Yes, you need to do some digging. Yes, you need to be able to get educated on what is right for your body and what's not, and maybe follow a system, follow something that's going to help you out in the process. Totally needed. That's what I did. And that's the only reason why I'm here today. But I want to simplify that for you so that it doesn't take you years and years of having to go to school for nutrition and get certified in all these different things. Like, I don't want you to have to go through that. You're probably busy. You don't have time for that. It's like me, I take my car to the mechanic because I don't want to go to school to be a mechanic. I'm smart enough and I could if I wanted to, just like you are too. But I have way better things to do with my life. I just want them to fix it. That's what we like to call ourselves. We're essentially like mechanics for the human body because that's what we specialize in. It's what I love. I literally go to sleep listening to nutrition podcasts at night sometimes. Like, this is absolutely my passion. So when it comes to balancing your blood sugar, the reason why this is one of the number one things that are important, yes, it has to do with insulin. Yes, it has to do with all of those things, which yes, has a cascade effect that has to do with being able to help your body support itself when it comes to the estrogen dominance we just talked about. But one of the things that I want to talk about first is your liver. And this is why intermittent fasting doesn't work. So when it comes to intermittent fasting, and I've actually heard some doctors try to push this on women with PCOS, and I just about banged my head off a table because it was so absolutely absurd that a doctor, a medical professional, would be advising someone with hormonal imbalances to do the thing that's going to cause more hormonal imbalances. It's mind-blowing. So what intermittent fasting is obviously going long periods of time without eating. And you might be doing this on purpose, or you might be doing this without even realizing it because you forget to eat. A lot of women are like this, right? I used to be like that too. But there's this whole fad going on about you should do intermittent fasting or you should do keto and you should do that. I'm so sick of that. So what I want you to do is I want you to essentially crumple up all the beliefs that you thought you had when it comes to nutrition and the fact that you have to have this label and should I eat raw, vegan, and keto and intermittent fast and all this stuff. Grab all that and chuck that crap out the window. I want you to follow the Ildico diet. I want you to follow the Lisette diet. I want you to follow the whatever your name is that's watching this on live stream. I want you to follow the U diet, which means getting rid of all the fads that you see from the ridiculous influencers online that are causing you to think you should do something when really it's probably the worst thing for your body. So once again, I want to educate you to make the right decisions for your body. And I want to make it easy for you by just holding your hand throughout the process so that we can come to those conclusions together. So you're not alone in this anymore, right? Now, when it comes to intermittent fasting, why it doesn't work is because essentially it taxes your liver. Now, your liver is the key organ that we want to make sure is functioning properly in order to balance your hormones. Yes, there's a lot going on when it comes to balancing your hormones, but the liver is actually, think of it like the catalyst, the thing that pushes the rock, where the rock will either go, uphill and make some good progress, or it'll just go tumbling downhill. The liver is so amazing. In, Ayurveda, they also call it the house of the soul, which means that on an emotional standpoint, it's also really important. But let's keep it just to the straight science right now. So when it comes to the science behind the liver is actually one of the key organs that will help detoxify the body. This includes a lot of the toxic hormones that are coming through your system. So if your liver is functioning properly, your hormones will be able to balance more easily on their own. This means less symptoms like PMS. This means being able to decrease a lot of the symptoms you have from PCOS, potentially even healing it completely. This means being able to also help your thyroid if you're struggling with thyroid issues, which can help increase your metabolism so you don't lose weight, or I should say, so you don't gain weight so easily and you can lose weight more easily, right? So these are all things that have to do with your liver and then some. What your liver does is it takes your body through a two-step detoxifying process. It will take fat-soluble compounds like hormones, right? Toxic hormones, like all those xenoestrogens we talked about, the pollutants in the air and stuff that's accumulating into your body. What it does is it takes those and it neutralizes them in the first step. It turns them into a free radical. I'm sure you've heard that before, right? And then in the second step of the process of detoxification, it will turn them into a water-soluble compound that your body can naturally get rid of easily, right? So those are the two steps of liver detoxification. Now, your liver also does other things, and your liver is also responsible for converting glycogen, which is stored carbs essentially in your muscles and in your liver. What your liver will do is it's also responsible for taking those stored carbs when you go long periods of time without eating and turning them into glucose so you have energy. You're probably starting to do the math and things are starting to, make sense in your head. This is starting to make sense. Comment makes sense. And you're probably starting to understand why intermittent fasting essentially sucks if you're wanting to balance your hormones and if you're wanting to lose weight, especially as a woman. So when it comes to intermittent fasting, what happens is if you're constantly going long periods of time without eating, your liver is constantly having to be taxed to convert this glycogen into blood glucose so you don't pass out. Well, that means that it's not being supported and it's not fully performing all of the hormone balancing tasks and detoxifying tasks that will help you also with things like anti-aging, that will also help you have more energy, that will help you have normal bowel movements so you're not so bloated and you don't feel so gross, that will help you have clean blood, that will help you just help you, and also increase your metabolism, right? So you can lose weight faster. So this is why intermittent fasting is not good as a woman and why you should eat in more frequent intervals. This is really important for you to understand. So if this makes sense, I hope it does. Comment makes sense again below because this is really important for you to get. And this is why I literally just spend so much time with my clients debunking so many of the fad diet myths. Because if you're watching this, you're most likely a woman who just wants the truth. Like that's what you desire. You just want the truth. You don't want to have to decipher and sift through a bunch of this crap information online. You just want the truth. You just want to understand like what's actually going to work for my body, right? What's actually going to work for me? What's going to give me results? What's going to make me feel good? What's going to make me feel sexy in my skin? And what's going to fix all of these issues that I'm going through that I'm constantly having to run to my doctors to, and they're doing nothing for me, right? If this is something you want, comment preach below because this was all I wanted for so long in my life. I didn't care about anything else. But the beautiful part is that when those things start to happen, I see the ladies on here comment preach, right? Yeah, I see that, when those things start to happen for me, and when I got into a position where I fixed what was going on in my health, I took my power back. I haven't been to the doctors and I don't even know how long, right? It's been a really long time. Of course, I still make sure that I get whatever it is that I need to get just on a regular kind of basis just to make sure that I'm good. But I have not had to go to the doctors for something that's been wrong in my body and I don't even know how many years. Whereas before, I spent $4,000 to $5,000 in medication in 1 year alone because of all the crap they were trying to throw at me, like antibiotics and all of this different kind of stuff they were trying to throw just to see what sticks and put a band-aid on an issue that was only going to come up 10 times worse a few years later, which it did, by the way. And I still had to deal with it, right? This even has to do with things like if you're going through struggles with your period. Now, this has completely nothing to do with your choice of birth control or IUDs or all of those things that have to do with the reason why they were actually made in the first place. They have done amazing for that, right? To give women the ability to, not have to conceive if they don't want to, right? But when it comes to all the other health issues that come with them, a lot of women actually end up going on things like birth control and IUDs and all those things in order to help prevent issues like breakouts or like having painful periods or not knowing when their period was going to come or all those things. Doctors are actually prescribing those as essentially a solution for these underlying issues that are not being taken care of. And if that's something that you have done, I know I did that as a teenager. I went on birth control, not for the reason that it was actually needed. I went on it because I needed help because my cycle just wouldn't come. And then when it would come, it would happen like in these absolutely crazy times. I would have the absolute worst pain. I'd like almost pass out. Like it was this ridiculous stuff. So I literally ended up going on the pill, but I didn't understand what it was going to do to my body. And this is why it's really important for you to understand the magnitude of the medications that you have been on potentially. And I want you to take your power back. And once again, this is not giving you medical advice saying you should go off the pill or whatever. This is to give you education so you can make your own choices. I know I sound like a broken record, but this is the most important thing that I can tell you, right? So this is why we dive so much deeper into this kind of stuff with clients, but I just want to give you as much information as I can right now so you can start to have some wheels turning. You can start to have some things clicking on being like, I get why I was feeling this way. I don't feel so powerless anymore. And I don't feel like I'm as alone in this whole process. And I finally feel like there's a light at the end of the tunnel, right? Just that alone sometimes can be enough to make you be able to get through it. Is just knowing that there is a solution out there that's different than maybe what you're trying right now. So what I want you to understand is, once again, throwing those fad diets out the window, estrogen dominance, this is something that we just talked about, and why it's different than when doctors tell you. Some doctors will tell you that, your androgens levels are too high, or that you have too high testosterone, or your male hormones are too high when it comes to PCOS and all those things, when they haven't even focused on the fact that all of these toxic estrogens are floating around in your body. And that's one of the biggest reasons why you're having all these symptoms, right? They don't even talk about that. So this is why it's important for you to understand there's other information out there. There's actually bigger underlying reasons why I'm struggling with this. And just because maybe my mom had it or my grandma or, it runs in my family, that doesn't mean that it has to be your reality. And it also doesn't mean that your kids have to deal with it. And this is where I want to segue into epigenetics. Because epigenetics, like I said, is essentially the study of showing that you are able to change what genes in your body get turned on and off based off of your nutrition and your environment. So essentially what happens is your nutritional and your environment choices will cause different proteins, essentially like these strands, to tighten or to loosen on different genes so that they can actually turn on or off. Think of it like a light switch, right? So when I'm talking about your environment, nutrition, that's self-explanatory, the food that you eat. But when I'm talking about your environment, I'm not just talking about like, where are you living? That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about your emotional environment. I'm talking about things like your self-talk. I'm talking about things like the people that are in your life, right? I'm talking about how much stress you have within your life. I'm talking about maybe you have some underlying things that you never dealt with. Like maybe you have a bad relationship with your mom or your dad, or your relationship is okay, but stuff happened when you were a kid that you still never got over. And you're holding that in your field and in your system. And it's causing this cascade of effects to happen within your health, right? So this is why when it comes to epigenetics, and this is science, go research it if you want. This is not just woo-woo stuff, right? This is legitimately, proven scientific information that they're starting to realize that your nutrition and environment can totally change your health. So once again, you have so much power so much more power, I should say, than what you thought you did. So this is really important for things like, let's even talk about autoimmune, issues, or things that they call syndromes. Syndrome is essentially just another word for saying, I don't know what the heck this was caused by. That's what, the medical community is telling you when they call something a syndrome or a disorder. So when it comes to things like autoimmune issues or, polycystic ovarian syndrome, that sounds familiar, right? PCOS. So this is important for you to understand that when it comes to a lot of these different issues, and you might not have PCOS, maybe it's endometriosis, maybe it's something else, you know, fibroids or other things that have to do with essentially your uterine and your ovaries and everything that has to do with your womanhood, right? This has to do with all of that when it comes to estrogen. I want to be really clear on that. It's not just PCOS or PMS or those kinds of things. So I want you to understand that when it comes to things like having autoimmune disorders or syndromes, you have a lot more power when it comes to your nutrition than you thought. Now, when it comes to autoimmune, there's actually some really cool tools that we have. There's essentially called adaptogenic herbs that are super awesome at being able to help you be able to either suppress your immune system or increase it depending on what you need, right? If your body has a virus or a bacteria, you want to boost your immune system so it can fight it. But if your immune system is at a heightened level, which some people are, people like that have asthma, right? A lot of times their immune system is so high that it's almost self-attacking their body, which is where a lot of these issues will stem from. Well, guess what? There's a lot of things that you can do nutritionally that can actually help be able to alleviate that. Maybe it's not going to fully heal it from the get-go. It could, but it can alleviate it so you don't have to deal with the symptoms as much. And a lot of these different, you know, things that you can do are diving out of the mainstream system. This is why I'm saying everything that you have been told when it comes to your doctors, of course, that might be something that is useful, but it doesn't mean that's the only thing. It doesn't mean it's the only way. This is really important for you to understand. So there are definitely different herbs, different adaptogenic herbs. One of them is chaga. I want you to check it out if you want to look at this, right? That can help if you are struggling with autoimmune disorders. Once again, this is not medical advice. This is literally like if I was your sister talking to you saying, hey, this is something that could potentially help you, right? Now, and the third thing is I want to cover a little bit more, a little bit deeper on the emotion side. The fact that your consciousness creates your reality. And why is this so important? It's really important because of the fact that there are cells within your body called biophotons. Now, these biophotons are essentially, they're light particles. They're not cells, they're light particles. And these light particles communicate at each other at the speed of light, so essentially instantly. And what happens is if you are in a state, and this is why, once again, with your epigenetics, this is all tying back to the fact that you can alter and turn on different genes that say you have this disease or you don't, or that say you're going to be healthy or you're not, right? You have the choice of doing that by being able to shift your consciousness, by being able to shift where your mind is going. And by being able to get yourself to a place where you start to be a lot more aware of your thoughts, where you start to be a lot more aware of, okay, am I at a place where I'm talking about self-hatred and I'm talking about how much I hate my body. I'm talking about, you know, how much I'm not enough and I'm never going to be enough. I'm never going to find an answer and I have no idea what to do and I'm the victim and all of these different things, right? Versus starting to understand that those might be some of the things that are actually causing your body to create that. You might be telling your body to create even more disease, dis-ease, right? It's another word for stress. What happens in your mind when you are saying all these bad things about yourself? You're stressing yourself out. And when it comes to disease, there's no coincidence at why the word is literally broken down into those things, those two things, dis-ease. You are not at ease, you're in dis-ease. This is why it's so important for you to understand, even on a stress level. And I could do a whole other talk. I actually have done a whole other talk on another platform. Literally, they were like broadcasting this to 15 different countries. And it was literally on why fear is keeping you fat. And we literally unpacked everything that had to do with cortisol, with having a stressful and a fearful based mindset that essentially was keeping you, well, fat in one thing, but also in a state of stress and also in a state where your body was never able to self-heal. Understand, now this is the last thing I'm going to talk about when it comes to the consciousness side of things, is for your body to heal itself. It has been created to heal itself, first of all. Number one, your body has been created to self-heal. Number two, in order for your body to self-heal, it has to be in the parasympathetic nervous system state, which means in your rest and digest state. If you are stressed out, if you are constantly talking negatively about yourself, you're constantly in a fear mode of saying, oh no, what's going to happen? I don't know. Am I going to find this answer at this doctor? Is this doctor going to give me the answer? Am I just always going to be a victim of this situation? you are never in the rest and digest stage. You're always going to be in the fight or flight stage if you're constantly coming from that fear and that stress-based mindset, always giving your power away to somebody else. So if you're constantly giving your power away to somebody else, you're constantly in this stress and fearful state. Think of it like a light switch. You are on the fight or flight mode, where essentially your stress hormones are off the roof. You're going to be able to essentially pack on belly fat faster than anybody else, which you don't want, obviously. And you're also never going to allow your body to be in a self-healing phase where it actually goes in and helps get rid of any viruses, get rid of any bacteria, get rid of, any of the emotional even junk too that's going on within your system that's causing you to keep all of this weight around yourself like this armor, right? You're essentially putting your body in a place where it's never able to just shut off and heal. And this is why it's so important for you to be conscious about your thoughts, for you to be conscious about, am I in a state of fear right now, or am I in a state of expansion? Am I in a state of contraction, or am I just letting myself flow? Am I trusting that I have the answers? Am I trusting that I'm watching a masterclass right now that's literally giving me my power back so that I can be able to make the right choices for me and my body, and no longer have to rely on someone in a white coat that keeps handing me this prescription and this essentially like a death sentence saying, this is what you are doomed for the rest of your life. This is what I want for you. I want you to take your power back. I want you to become conscious of your thoughts. I want you to start to be conscious every single moment of every single day and ask yourself, am I coming from a place of love for myself right now? And if I were operating from the highest place of love for myself, what would I be thinking? What would I be eating? What would I be doing? Who would I be talking to? Who would I be taking advice from? Who would I not be taking advice from? And so on and so forth. If this is, kind of going deeper than maybe what you expected, if this is starting to hit some light bulbs or starting to hit some nerves within you that's like, oh my gosh, like I didn't realize how much even just what I was thinking was causing me to have this state of my body where it's never able to heal itself, then definitely comment below, let me know. Because this is probably one of the biggest key pieces that I want you to take away from this whole entire masterclass. If you can master this consciousness part, if you can do the inner work to be able to allow your body to dissolve anything emotionally that has caused you turmoil, anything emotionally that's been stuck within your system, right? Because your gut actually holds a lot of emotions. It's like your second brain. So if you're bloated all the time, if you constantly have stomach pains, if you've never been able to lose weight no matter what you do, there's a very good chance that you have a lot of stuck energy and emotions happening within your field that are causing you to not be able to self-heal and also to not be able to lose that weight. So start to be aware of that. And if you master this, master the ability to let things dissolve, to understand what was going on, to go deep with your emotions, to heal anything that happened from maybe when you were just a little girl or, when you were a teenager or last week, whatever it might be, you will notice your body will start to heal. Your skin will start to glow. You'll start to get in like a groove where you're like, oh my gosh, things are so much easier. And that's something my clients say all the time. They're like, I don't even know why it's easy, but it's easy. I went on vacation last week and I lost weight and I don't even know why. Like I was eating healthier and I made better choices and, I'm not stressed out about food anymore. And I'm just like, well, what caused that? And they're like, I don't even know, which is awesome, right? It's awesome. They're just like, it just clicked. And that's within 3 to 4 weeks, guys. Like food obsession, gone. Stress over food, gone. And it all comes down to the inner work that we do too. It's not all about just some magic meal plan you're going to follow for the rest of your life. And this is why it's really, really important. That's supposed to be a number 3 there, but that's okay. So the last thing that I want to talk about is weight loss that sticks. And if you notice why I talk about weight loss last, it's because weight loss is a byproduct. It is a byproduct of everything else that we have just talked about. When you master your inner game, when you master your ability to, heal your emotions, and when you master your ability to be able to heal your body using the right nutrition, because of the fact that you now understand your hormones on a deeper level, you know when to eat, you know what to eat, the rest is a piece of cake. The weight loss will happen when it's meant to happen. You don't have to focus on it anymore. It doesn't have to feel like a grind, right? You don't have to feel like eating healthy is a chore because you've done all the other stuff that allows it to just happen. And the best part is it doesn't have to be sequential. You don't have to wait until like 3 or 4 weeks to start losing weight. Maybe it'll take a bit of time, but I would say for 90% of the people that I work with, 90% of the women, they're losing weight right off the get-go. From the first week, weight and pounds are starting to come off, inches are starting to come off, because this stuff happens all together. That's the best part. You don't have to choose, oh, should I heal or heal my hormones, or do I want to lose weight? You can do it all. You don't have to choose. You can have it all, essentially, which is awesome, right? So when it comes to being able to lose weight, and comment below, right? If that's exciting, comment have it all below. If that's super exciting, and if you want to have it all, you can and you should, right? You shouldn't have to choose. Now, when it comes to weight loss that sticks, the reason that I want to talk about this really quickly before we close out, because I said that it was going to be an hour and we're already at the 55-minute mark. Time goes by when we're having fun, right? So when it comes to weight loss that sticks, I want you to understand that you need to first shift your mindset of thinking that, you know, in order to maintain the weight that I lost, right? Because going through all those steps that we just followed and we just talked about, you're going to shed a lot of weight, right? If that's what's needed, maybe you're on here and you're like, I don't need to lose a whole lot of weight. I mostly just want to get healthy. That's awesome too. But maybe you're on here and you're like, I want to get healthy. I want to heal my hormones. I don't want to have to go to the doctors anymore. And I just, you know, I want to lose weight. I want to feel sexy. I want to look good. Obviously, that's awesome. And you should. So when it comes to losing the weight, that will happen. But then once you're getting at the point where you're like, well, I want to maintain it. I don't want to have to go back to the way that I was before. I don't want to have to yo-yo. I don't want to have to do like I did when I went on Jenny Craig or tried keto or did intermittent fasting or tried a candida diet, whatever it might be. And then I gained it all back. I don't want that anymore. I'm done with that. And if you are, then good for you. I'm excited that you're done with that, because what I want you to understand is people's idea of maintenance a lot of times is the very reason your perception of what maintenance should be is a lot of times the very reason why you can't maintain your weight in the first place. And let me unpack that. A lot of times, and I want you to comment yes below if you've ever thought this, is that maintenance is when you wake up every single morning and your body stays and looks the exact same, never changes, right? You're literally living from like the head down. That's literally it. It's always staying the same. If you have thought that this is what maintenance is and you thought this is what you desire, comment yes below. And now I want to challenge that and shift that perspective for you to understand that maintenance is not about having your body stay the exact same. Yes, it's about not having you fluctuate in weight like crazy and be like, oh, I just gained 20 pounds or whatever. No. I'm not saying your body should change like that. It should stay fairly the same when it comes to your weight once you get to that ideal place. But what your body's going to go through is still going to be some shifts. Just like the laws of nature, nothing in the world stays the same. Nothing stays static. Nothing that's alive will stop flowing. So there's going to be moments where sometimes you wake up and maybe your skin is a little bit broken out, or there's a little something that happens. And the thing and the key to maintaining is having the knowledge to know how to fix it so that within a day or two, you're not dealing with that problem anymore. And it's not giving you a catalyst kind of effect where everything starts to snowball and you're like, well, screw it. I don't feel very good. I don't know how to fix it. I tried this, it's not working. And let me just go back to my old ways. No, this is why people don't maintain. It's because they've never been educated on how to actually be able to keep your body healthy if something does happen. That is maintenance. That is mastery. That is taking your power back, is knowing that no matter what happens to your body, as long as it's not some crazy, cataclysmic event, you're good. You know how to fix it, right? And if you don't, then you know who to talk to. So it's really important for you to first understand that. And with choosing foods that are right for your body. Now, this is something that we dive deeper in. It's not something that I can just talk about on a masterclass. It's really individualized. Like, we can't talk about customized meal plans because, what I start with one client is not what I finish with. Some clients, some things works great. Some clients, other things work differently. Like, this truly has to be a customized approach. So I just want you to understand that when it comes to eating for your body, it really has to do with the different things we talked about. Are you trying to heal? Are you someone that's more active? And as a general rule of thumb, if you're wanting to do more healing in your body right now, you should be increasing your protein and your fats, your healthy fats, decreasing your carbs. If you're wanting to work out a whole bunch and you're more athletic, you can have more carbs and you can, kind of make up for that by decreasing your fats a little bit. So that's a general rule of thumb. And if that was helpful, comment helpful below. But we really need to unpack that on a more personal basis. Then when it comes to eliminating cravings, guys, this is so simple, right? I went through this the other week where I was away on vacation and I noticed, I was like, oh my gosh, I'm having the craziest cravings. And those cravings were happening, and I was like, what do I do? But then I thought of it and I was like, okay, let me just ask my body, what does it need? And I'm intuitive enough to know, based off the symptoms I had, because I was a bit bloated too and all those different things, I was like, you know what? I am going to use my Candida protocol. I literally followed that protocol for a couple days. Bloating was gone, sugar cravings were pretty much gone, and I was back on my merry old way, right? Now, this is going to depend on what's going on, right? You might have sugar cravings because your adrenal glands are off. You might have sugar cravings because you have excess Candida, which is yeast overgrowth in your gut that is feeding off the sugar. So it's literally telling your brain, eat more sugar, right? And it's this constant yo-yo effect. So you have to understand that all of these things are all very customized. This is why it's important for you to be able to understand for your body what's happening, and then get the tools and have the toolkit that you walk away with to say, I know what tool to use for what different thing that's happening. I'm not going to try to use a screwdriver on a nail, right? That's not going to work. That's what a lot of people are trying to do by using things like intermittent fasting if you're trying to balance your hormones. That's like using a screwdriver on a nail. It's never going to work. Right? So if that made sense, and if that analogy made sense, type makes sense below, because that's the only way that, you know, we can explain it without going deep and understanding, okay, what's happening in your body in particular. And the last thing is I want to totally shift your mindset to thinking that you need to eat less in order to lose weight. You do not. You most likely need to eat more. If you're wanting to lose weight or just be healthy in general, most women are not eating enough. But you're also probably thinking, okay, that sounds crazy, right? I should be eating, you know, lower calories. Now, when it comes to calories, I've had some women lose 10 pounds in 1 week that were eating 1,700 calories a day. So this whole, you know, thing of calories in having to be less than calories out, and that's the only thing that matters to lose weight, and that, you know, tracking your macros, and as long as whatever fits in those macros, you're good. So ridiculous. A calorie is not a calorie, right? That's like saying that eating a Mars bar is the same thing as eating a cucumber, because they're the same size. They're not the same. Eating a cucumber might give you 10 calories, but you get a bunch of nutrients, a bunch of anti-inflammatory nutrients. You have 10 calories. It makes you feel, you know, fairly full. It fills up a lot of space within your stomach. Mars bar fills up the same amount of space, has probably close to 300 calories, insane amounts of sugar and fat, and you're starting to get the picture. This is why women that usually work with us, they're like, oh my gosh, I'm eating so much more food than I was before. I'm never hungry. And it's because of the fact of volumetrics. It's eating the right foods, nutrient dense food versus calorie dense food that's actually feeding your body and healing your body at the same time. I hardly ever go to the gym anymore, and I don't have to worry about going to the gym anymore all the time. I go when I want to stay strong and to stay mobile, but I don't go to the gym to lose weight. I always say leave the fat loss for the kitchen, right? And then use the gym for feeling motivated, strong, lifting weights, whatever kind of sculpting you want to do with your body. This is really, really key. So these are the main things that I wanted to cover, guys. And when you master these 3 aspects, you will literally master the ability for you to be able to keep the weight off, have your ideal weight, right? Be at your ideal weight, keep that weight off, and also be in a position where you're essentially just rocking it, right? You don't have to worry about things anymore. Things are just starting to flow in your body. Things are starting to flow in your life. Money and love and, you know, purpose, everything just comes to you versus you having to chase it all the time, because you've elevated your frequency to one where you just love yourself so freaking much that you just start making choices based off of that. You start making choices because you love yourself so much that you're just like, oh my gosh, I'm just, without even realizing it, I'm starting to make better choices. I'm starting to drink more water. I'm starting to go for the salad versus the burger and all these different things. It truly liberates your life. That's why this is so much more than just changing your body and your health. It literally changes your life. So on that, guys, I just want to leave you with this. This is a really quick little secret fat loss recipe. I do actually have to hop off because I have my high level clients that are actually waiting for a Q&A. So sorry about that, guys, because we actually have a Q&A that's about to start right now. But I want to leave you with one little quick fat loss recipe that you can use right away. And some women have lost up to 6 pounds. But the biggest thing that I want you to understand about this, once again, it's not just for fat loss. It's essentially something that will allow you to be able to get rid of those excess estrogens in your body. Yes, this is also important, even if you're going through menopause, so that you can get to a position where your gut is healed. It will help with bowel movements, and it also helps decrease your estrogen levels so that if you gain weight on your hips, butt, and thighs, that will go away easier. Same thing with belly fat, it will start to melt away easier. So this is something, take a screenshot of it if you want. Make sure you're eating it alone and on an empty stomach. and make sure you're not like piling other food with it. This is meant to be eaten alone. So make sure you take a screenshot of it. If you didn't have a chance to do that, just send me a message, right? So long-term strategies, guys, just get a specialized meal plan for your body. That's one of the best things I can tell you. And number two, get educated. If you can take anything away from this whole masterclass, is get educated. The more educated you are, the more power you have. And the more power you have to make the right choices for your body, the more you no longer have to feel powerless and feel like you're constantly just like at the mercy of doctors and other people, even of me. I don't want you to be at the mercy of me. I want you to have the knowledge to say, yeah, this feels right for me, or no, this doesn't. That is super powerful. That's where I want my clients to get to, and that's where they do get to. So this is something that you guys want, right? And if this is something that has sparked some things for you guys, feel free to send me a message. If you want to learn more about how you can work with us, that's totally cool. You can do that. And this is just something that I absolutely love. So these are just some more success stories that we have from some of our clients, which is super exciting. Absolutely love seeing their transformation. And this is honestly my idea of a transformational photo, is this woman right here. Like totally changed her life. I think she lost about 30 pounds. Her hormones were totally different. She was able to have the energy to actually walk around. She didn't have to take naps anymore in the afternoon. You know, a lot of her hormonal issues balanced out just through the nutrition that we had. Like it was just absolutely insane transformation. And this is why I love these photos way more than like the side by side, like this is what my stomach looks like. Your life legitimately changes. Like she was jumping on a trampoline for the first time. She used to be a gymnast in high school. And this was the first time in like 20 years that she actually had the desire to go to a gym and jump on a trampoline. Like so freaking awesome. That's what I love. I absolutely love that so much. So if you guys want to learn more, definitely feel free to send me a message. But on that, absolutely love all of you ladies. And I hope you have such an amazing rest of your day. If you have any questions, or if you also want the rest of the recipe from the carrot salad, feel free to do that as well. Send me a message for it. But on that, guys, I hope you have such an amazing rest of your night. I'm going to hop off and hop on to my Q&A. If I have any clients on here, just stay on the same link, and we are going to stop screen sharing. So have an amazing rest of your day, guys, and chat with you later.
Bye, Stephanie.